First of all, Scotty, it's great to see you. I've certainly missed
Hi.
everybody's faces.
Absolutely. It's great to be here.
Yeah.
Great to be here.
We talked last week and you were talking about how much you're enjoying spending the time with Spencer and setting up a little educational process with him and things like that. And yeah, I remember there was a time before I planted the church where I was unemployed for a while. And then I got a bunch of little jobs, but for the most part, I was home during the day. I did a bit of construction and accounting on the side. So Krista went to work full time for a few months and I stayed with the boys. And that was a really cool time, you know, just to be with them as much as I was and, you know, to enjoy them. So I imagine you're enjoying that too. The boys Eric was about Spencer's age when that happened. So that was a long time ago.
There's so many difficult aspects to this pandemic. And I don't want to overlook those. But it is nice that in the midst of those, to still be able to kind of capture and even relish some of the positives. And so for me, absolutely, it's being able to spend more time with Spencer and with Kate as well. But certainly I'm getting a lot more time with Spencer.
That's excellent.
And although, I mean, I didn't choose to be, you know, a homeschooling parent, and I wouldn't classify myself as a homeschooling parent, but this is really precious, the opportunity to really pour into my son's life for a period of time.
Yeah, that's genius. Now you're still working in your field. You've still been working. How has it changed? What have you guys been doing to, you know, accommodate this in the social distancing and things like that?
Absolutely, absolutely. So yes, I work as a counselor. And it looks very different. Before the pandemic, of course, I had an office and I would go to that office and I would sit in front of clients, usually about 4 or 5 feet in front of them. And that's not happening. Our office, in terms of the physical office, is shut down. It's closed, both to our clients, but also to me. So instead, what happens is we've all had to adjust. All of us counselors, we've had to find a way to reach our clients through phone and more recently through video means. And in doing that, it's also meant a learning curve. We have to learn the ins and outs of how do you do counseling over the phone or over video. And I mean, there's some principles that of course stay the same, but there's some things that are new. We have to consider that, have to consider a lot of the logistics of it and also the confidentiality aspect to it too.
Yeah. Do you find you're less effective interacting with people that way?
I find it's different, and it's hard in this short period of time to know for sure whether the efficacy has gone up or down or stayed the same.
Yeah.
I would say that in some ways, sometimes people can actually open up more. Some people. I think that speaking over the phone, somehow not seeing you, sometimes there's a less of a resistance, and they can just kind of open up. So things can come faster. Whereas in face-to-face, that that thing might wait till the second or third session, but over the phone, they're discussing it a lot sooner. On the other hand, for some people, this has made it really difficult for them to access counseling. You have to consider that a lot of my clients have children. And so within the house, for them to get away for an hour and have a private conversation, that's just not feasible.
No.
Whereas before the pandemic, they'd come and see me during school hours. And so there's a number of people who had to kind of put their counseling on hold.
Yeah. Now, are you finding that this pandemic has changed the line of questioning as far as what people need from you? Is there a lot more questions surrounding this pandemic that's causing people, you know, any kind of reaction or anything?
It's interesting. It really depends on the individual. I've had some individuals, some sessions, where the entire session is focused on COVID-19 and maybe their fear or anxiety around the situation or frustration around the situation. For other people, No, the focus of the counseling really is on whatever issue it was that brought them to counseling in the first place.
Yeah.
So it really depends. Yeah, it really does depend on the individual.
Mm.
And of course, that depends on their life circumstance, whether
Yeah.
they are maybe in a job where they're continuing to go to work versus whether they're in a job where they're not able to go to work.
Mm.
Whether there's someone who has other health complications and they're really fearful of getting the virus or not.
Yes.
So there's a number of factors that play into that.
Mm. Okay. Um, People who are kind of struggling with the changes we're going through right now, what are some themes that you see, prominent themes that people bring up?
Well, for those who are struggling, I'd say definitely there's fear, there's anxiety. A lot of that is around getting COVID-19 or passing it on to a loved one. There's frustration because people, some people are maybe frustrated with the limitations, but I think most people understand and accept the limitations, and they're just kind of frustrated because their life is on hold and they want to get back to what they consider to be living.
Mm.
But I'd say another theme that is an even bigger theme that a lot of people don't consider, but it's there is the theme of grief.
Mm.
Now, when I say the word grief, I think a lot of people tend to think of grief in terms of the death of a loved one, someone who's close to them.
Mm-hmm.
But really, grief is any loss. It's the feelings that you experience when you experience loss.
Yeah.
And right now, we're all experiencing loss.
Mm.
For some of us, it's the loss of a job, it's the loss of income. For some of us, with that job, there was social connections.
Mm-hmm.
All of us, it's the loss of some level of social connections. Maybe it's with social connections with family or with friends. I think of for myself, I'm sort of vicariously grieving for Spencer's lack of ability to go and connect with some of his friends.
Yes. Yeah.
So, yeah, I think grief is an overarching theme that is hitting most people to some degree.
Mm.
One other thing I'd like to just throw in there, though,
Mm-hmm.
is that one thing I'm noticing is that the how should I put this? Some people who are able to deal with this time easier or less easily is whether or not they are more extroverted in their nature or introverted in their nature.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would say for those who are more extroverted, this is an especially difficult time.
Yeah.
Whereas for those who are introverted, it's still a change. Absolutely, it's still a change.
Yeah.
But I've also heard from some people who've actually said, I'm enjoying this time. I'm enjoying the solitude and some of the distancing. And usually those are people who are more introverted in their nature.
Yeah. 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 We've observed that a little in our own home. Those of us in the home who are introverts aren't finding this too hard, and those who are extroverts are struggling a little more. And I would imagine that's the case everywhere.
Yeah.
With people. I guess we used to theorize that because of social media and Facebook and everything, that people weren't socializing in person enough, that they were doing all their socializing over the internet. I think this has proven that that's actually not true, that a lot of people still do enormous amount of social interaction out in the community. So our extroverts, if this happened and they, were cut off, you would think social networking would mean that there was no change in their lives. But what we're seeing instead is many of these people do yearn to get out and be with people, and the touch and interaction and of being with real people. And my theory is probably even for introverts, after a while, this gets a little spinny.
Yeah. Absolutely. And of course, there's the social piece, but there's a lot of other practical pieces as well.
Yeah.
Maybe you just want to go to the gym and go for a swim,
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah. So we were talking, you've alluded to this a little bit, but I'll ask again in case there's anything you missed. What do you see are some positives that have come out of this change in our society? What are some things you're going to want to take out of this?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, this is a pandemic. It's a
Mhm.
bad situation. Obviously, there's a lot of negatives, but you know what? There is a lot of positives as well.
Mm.
Think about it, well, for one, environmentally. I
Yeah.
mean, we know that as a society, that we are putting much more CO2 into this atmosphere
Mhm.
than our world can handle.
Mhm.
And although this is a temporary situation, we
Mm.
hope it's a temporary situation, we see that for this period of time, there's much less CO2 going into the atmosphere.
Yes. Yeah.
And maybe this is an opportunity for our world to take a bit of a proverbial breath.
Mm. Yeah.
Politically, when I look at the politicians, when I look at our prime minister, when I look at the premiers, when I look at whether they're liberals or conservatives or NDP, across party lines, across provincial and federal jurisdictions, even municipal jurisdictions, I'm seeing a level of cooperation
Yeah.
that you just don't normally see. I've never seen.
Mm.
And that's encouraging. It's encouraging to see that our leaders really can do this. And there's also a level of cooperation between political leaders and scientists and medical experts. And I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
that's really important and
Yeah.
encouraging. And again, I wish we could see more of this when we're not in the time of pandemic, but I think
Yeah.
that's important to note.
Yes.
I would also say that scientifically speaking, we have more and more people taking an interest in science, and I think that's a good thing. I think that science is about appreciating our world, the world that God has made,
Mm.
and I think it's good for us to want to be knowledgeable about our world and how to take care of it. And so, seeing more and more people interested in science, I think that's a good thing.
Yep.
I
Now
think
those are macro.
macro, yep,
And
yep, yep,
what
yep.
would be
And
individual?
another macro one
Yep.
would be medical, is the medical field. I
Yep.
think they're learning a lot from the situation. I know that
It's true.
a number of years ago we had SARS here in Canada, and that was an awful situation.
Yes.
But what that situation did is it helped our medical field learn a lot that has helped them to respond as well as they have
Yes.
to this pandemic. And I think this pandemic will
Mm.
help them better respond to future pandemics.
Mm.
If I could move down to, yeah, more of the micro level, more to the personal level though,
Mhm.
I think that what I am seeing is people are taking more of a time to analyze their priorities,
Mm.
to slow down, to
Yep.
consider what is really important to them. I
Mhm.
think that's a good thing.
Mhm.
And another thing that I'm seeing, you talked about the importance of people connecting and doing so in a physical way, of course, when a pandemic is not on.
Yes.
And that's true. But I also see people being more and more creative and more um, enabled in their ability to connect
Mm.
electronically.
Yes.
And while I agree that I would never wish for this type of connection to be an ongoing
Yes.
form of connection,
Mm.
it is good to see that more and more of us are finding ways to connect through electronic means.
Yeah. Yeah. I was thinking there was someone told me this a number of years ago, but before someone visits a church, they often will visit, their web page and see their sermons and do
Yeah,
all that. There's a lot of that going on. So this has really
yeah,
raised the our our maybe awareness of what what we're putting out there and
hmm,
how many different things we could do that we before never just never got around to.
yeah,
Whereas now, I've been working with Jody today, about putting kids programs up, on our
yeah.
webpage and, and working with some of those things. And we've picked a series out that we're going to start adapting and putting on and that come with videos and things like that. You've mentioned the Focus on the Family opening up their portal, to allow
That's right.
people access to a lot of family friendly content and things like
Yes.
that. So,
Yeah.
it has, it really accelerated or seems to have accelerated our society's awareness of the tool that we
Hmm.
have, through the World Wide Web kind of thing. And that, yeah, it's interesting. I'm trying to wrestle with, first of all, I've been very happy to see members of our congregation continue to do okay. I
Yep.
know a lot of them are
Good.
fearful and things like that, but I've been impressed with people's level of faith and
Hmm.
their connection with Christ. You know, you think, oh, we'll put sermons up and we'll put Bible studies out, you know, and nobody's going to use them, but we're actually seeing people use those materials and asking for more and following up with them and things like that. So that's been very encouraging, you know, just to see everybody like yourself and everybody able to, you know, connect this way. I guess if this happened 30 years ago, we'd all be writing letters to each other or something like that.
Yeah. I mean, while I would never want this to become an ongoing normal, for a short period of time, it's been kind of fun on a Sunday morning, creating church at home and trying to be creative with how we do that, Kate and myself and Spencer. And it does provide some unique opportunities for churches to develop their online content. And for those who are curious about Christianity, but maybe they don't have enough courage to step into a physical church, that we can reach them through that means.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Scotty, thank you. We miss you guys, and we pray you're doing well, and give Kate a hello for us. And we're going to see how this works, and we'll edit this up and be able to put it up. And I'm sure there's going to be a great resource for people. So thank you for making yourself available to do this.
You're welcome. Thank you.